So, folks, here I am again. Delhi police's action. Again, one is, as an Indian and a citizen of this country, hangs their head in shame. And why is that? Because yesterday midnight, whole kinds of scuffle. One of the brothers, a policeman, abused in a drunken state, abused brother of Vinesh Pogart with all kind, abused Vinesh Pogart actually with all Mahabahan ki galis. Her brother stood up, he was smashed, his head was smashed, 9 stitches. The story went around, got around, and all kinds of people landed up. And suddenly they declared Dhara 144. This Dhara 144 seems to be everywhere. And Huda ended up singly, and Dhara 144 says no gathering of 4, and he still wasn't allowed. Get that. Now the folks are out there saying, hey, please collect if you want to protect the women of this nation. And I have a feeling that this is going to get out of control for this government, because now all the Kap Panchayats are involved, the farmers are involved, or this time even the political parties are involved. And what you're seeing in Karnataka, BJP in deep dive don't seem to have anything going for it except Modi save me, Modi save me. Modi has nothing except religion save me, religion save me. So he's trying to obviously compare whatever loose ball or not ball. I have a feeling the Congress had a plan which I'll talk about. But here's the deal. I mean, a lot of spokesmen, unfortunately, with the Congress are spending time defending and turning this around and saying that, hey, Bajrang Dal is not Bajrangi, right? And that's true, because it's an insult to Bajrangi. But what you see is this midnight scuffle between cops protesting wrestlers, and this is what makes you hang in shame. How are women ever going to get into sport? We've heard these stories right from PT Usha's time, and PT Usha herself used to complain about it. I know that. I've seen those newspapers. How she was mistreated, mishandled by the coach, the male coaches, and the federation chief, right? And finally, thank God, because this lady from what's her name from Shiv Sena nailed her and said that how is that possible? And she then eventually, Usha U-turn, meets wrestlers, assures them of her support. Police doing nothing to probe sexual harassment charges. Women wrestlers tell SC. And while that is happening, right, what is indeed shameful is what is happening in Manipur, the other place where you're seeing a situation where there was a march held by the Kukis or the tribals. And why was the march held? The march was held because the Metis, which are the majority now, want scheduled tribe status, only because they want to grab more of the goodies. And it's kind of unfair for the real tribals, which are the Kukis, right? So they were taking out this march, and there was a whole bunch of arson. You have curfew in Manipur after rally against ST status turns violent. Mobile internet shut for 5 days after violence during tribal stuff. Now, the funny thing was mobile. India, under this government since 2014, has the dubious record of the maximum time and times and the time in play with the internet shutdown. For a democracy, that is despicable. And any wonder then you say you have this. India slips in World Press Freedom Index, ranks 161 out of 180. So not only sinking an index, we are again also being targeted for religious freedom. And hey, when churches are being burnt down, when Tamil Nadu government has the strength to say that there is no forced conversion in Tamil Nadu, you know that gentleman Stalin is talking the truth. And this is insane. And you say there's religious freedom, eh? And this is one thing that must go. POSCO not meant to punish minors in consensual relationships, says HC. And NSA, everybody's free pass. Government of India should be serious about stamping out abuse of this law, as it is about real national security. And with the way they use NSA, because 94% of the cases are trashed, can bend, but nothing is done, right? Despite quashing most of these fabricated cases, courts don't come down hard enough on errant officers who fall over themselves to be more loyal than the king, right? And the Supreme Court has also come down on this, and this is kind of really sad. Is no one else competent? SC on Mishra's extension as ED chief. Why didn't Center move court to get ED chief's extension order modified? Now, why is the same guy there? You can smell a rat. It doesn't pass the smell test, right? And especially now when all ED cases are against opposition. You're not telling me that Sarna has suddenly turned white, right? Or Jyotiraj Scindia has turned white. Or Adani doesn't have, there's nothing else to go after the shell companies. That was, after all, what the ED was there for, right? And then you have this. Modi's chant posters power Bajrang backlash against Congress in Karnataka. I have seen interviews of the ground people. They don't hold this an issue. The issue, as Priyanka continues, Kharge continues, and Rahul continues, it's all about jobs, it's about mehengai, jobs and mehengai. And now regionalism and parochialism, because they have now brought Karnataka's pride into play with Nandi, Chili's, Vijaya Bank. However, they are spending some time trying to even turn this comparison into a boomerang for the BJP, because hey, how can you compare Bajrang Dal with Hanuman? But then what do you talk about this government, right? Here you have the PM who thinks he's Shiv, right? He's sitting in the Shiv's Gufa. And yesterday, last time when there was a snake issue, he says Shiv also has a snake around its neck. What is he trying to do? This is not God's own country. This is people. We need, the reason why you have this God thing is because in India, we're the only race that just follows this whole thing blindly, right? But this is what I want to read out. Important. Take a little bit of time, but hear this. This is documentaries versus movies, fact versus fiction, Lutyens Delhi versus NRI OCI. One should just follow the facts and leave all theatre behind. Who am I? What am I? By Swati Tyagarajan. Swati is an accomplished director, but hey, what she says, I believe, right? So I am beef-eating Hindu Brahmin, married to a South African of no religious affiliation. I am a trained Bharatnatyam dancer, and I also love hip-hop, belly dancing and jazz ballet. I studied Sanskrit and Tamil as second language along with Hindi, which I still struggle to speak with correct grammar and pronunciation. Making English my first language. Tamil is my mother tongue. I love yoga. I love chanting Sanskrit shlokas. But over and above all of that, I am a woman and an Indian. That's true for all Phogat and everybody else. My culture, and I mean mine personally, is one lovely contradiction. No one can tell me I am not Hindu. No text can tell me how exactly to be one. No, the Ramayana is a story, not the world like Bible or the Quran. In fact, I prefer the Mahabharata any day. My mother is a pure vegetarian. My father is not. He taught me that the sunrise, a little songbird, a tall tree are all God. He taught me that the observer, me and the observed, the universe are intimately entwined. He taught me if we do not see ourselves in others, then there is no beauty of being human. This is the important point. So when dangerous nitwits try and circumscribe me into narrow boxes with their filtered jingoistic take on Hinduism, it makes me wonder what kind of people they are, and do they even see India the way I do. Let me say that I am not going to romanticize my view of India. I see the poverty, the helplessness, the garbage, the corruption, the violence. I wake up to stories of an old Muslim man killed by a mob on the suspicion he was eating beef. His younger son was also beaten badly. His older son is an engineer in the IAF. I wake up to news that a Kap Panchayat, that lovely bastion of patriarchal kangaroo court justice, ordered the rape of two sisters because their brother married outside their caste. Paint it whichever way you like. It's a sick, degrading practice as much as apartheid as the only system in South Africa, the country in which I now live. I have seen more racism in India than I have here in South Africa. I was called a Madrasi casually by people who would be shocked if you told them they were parochial idiots. I have alternatively been asked how I am not dark as all Madrasis are, and also been told by an acquaintance that her summer holidays made her as dark as me. On work for a shoot at the Taj Mahal, the ticket window guy argued that my camera person had to pay foreigner rate because he was Korean. My camera person was from Manipur. I was flatly told we were lying as Indians, did not look like him. It's not just the North India but also South India that has all these issues. So no, I have no romantic view of India. Well, neither do I now, right? But I have also seen another India, traveled it, lived it, been told stories about it. In that India, I have been fed without having to ask, been welcomed without questions, seen unbelievable dignity in the face of all odds. I remembered a story of how the great Bismillah Khan was once on a train, and when stopped at a station, he heard of most haunting melody, a raga he could not identify. It was a young boy walking down the train playing the flute. He stopped near the Ustad, and the Ustad was mesmerized by the tune, and just as suddenly as the boy came, he left. The Ustad was convinced he had been in the presence of divinity. He swore the young boy who played for him was none other than Lord Krishna. Ustad was on his way to the Kumbh Mela to perform in a profoundly Hindu festival. When he did perform, he played the raga, and he heard the boy play, and the raga was called Kanhariya by him. My Hinduism is simple. It is Aham Brahmismi, or the core of my being is that ultimate reality, the root and ground of the universe, the source of all that exists. There is only one supreme being, and it is the super consciousness from which we all sprang and into which we all will be absorbed. Just as seed carries the secret of a mighty tree within, we carry the supreme consciousness. When this is the central philosophy of Hinduism, where the microcosm and the microcosm are linked in an infinite, beautiful cycle, how can I ever accept what the extreme right wing would like to see as Hinduism? When Hinduism, a way of life, a philosophy that roots itself in a bedrock of tolerance, is twisted into the narrow rules and regulators trapped by bars of hate, I cannot and will not accept it. When my Hinduism asks me to believe in Atihiti and Devabhava, or the guest in God, when it asks me to find God in myself because Tattvamasi is the heart of the matter and therefore makes me find the divine in others, how can the rule makers separate us into individuals instead of humanity? My Hinduism is stories I danced to when Bhakt Jayadeva wrote the Gita Govindam while writing of the love between Radha and Krishna. He spontaneously composed a line, Dehi Pana Palva Mudharam, or Krishna asked Radha to place her lotus-like feet on his head. Appalled by the thought that had come to his head, Jayadeva left the house to go bathe and clear his thoughts. A few minutes later, much to his wife's surprise, he came back and sat down and wrote the left again. A few minutes later, he came back again, he sat down and then with a great anger asked his wife how she could have written the words that were an insult to God. His wife, most puzzled, said that he himself had just come back and written them, and that's when Jayadeva knew it was Krishna himself who had come so. So God was saying that in the presence of love, even God is the lesser. Yet today we hate so much. That is not my Hinduism. In our culture, we will ignore the Charvaka is an ancient Hindu philosophy that embraces philosophical skepticism and rejects the Vedas, Vedic ritualism and supernaturalism. It encourages questions and arguments established by Bhiraspati, one of our most venerated sages. Yet we will murder professors and social workers who subscribe to it. Our Gayatri Mantra asks for the benevolent light of the sun, the life giver, to inspire our intelligence, to inspire our understanding, and to banish ignorance and bathe us in enlightenment. Where is any of that now? In our culture, we ignore that all meat was consumed by Hindus in the Vedic times and erase the part of history, indeed, that over 60% of India eats meat is rejected. I reject that Hinduism, that narrow confined box. You will call me a secular, liberal prostitute. I will just bow and say namaste, which means I greet the divine in you. This, folks, is what reality religion should be for all of us. But unfortunately, it's been weaponized, and I think what the Congress and Rahul Gandhi are doing, why this changing Jai Shri Ram to Jai Siya Ram and now this Hanuman issue, is to firstly depoliticize and de-weaponize the Hindu religion, and it's about time. And then in the drama, Pawar picture abhi baki hai. We'll be back. Jai Hind and 3 cheers and take care.